Hello and welcome to Quora Queries. I'm Q, and I will be taking you through today's Q&A. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you want more questions like this. Now, let's get into this. My son recently had a DNA test, and it turns out that he's not my child. What should I do? Guess you'll have to cancel all those family resemblance jokes, but at least you won't have to share your snacks anymore. Time to listen to our beloved community. Reply 1. It doesn't really matter if you are not the father. Let me tell you about a little girl that showed up in my life when her mother moved into a house on my farm. There was no father present and his identity is actually unknown. So here was a kid that would follow me everywhere, and I got to take her to school and play with her while she took her dolls swimming in mud puddles, etc. Over time, we grew very close together, and after several years, I realized that I played the father figure in her life. I am super honored to have her in my life, and she says the same. She doesn't have my DNA, but she is my girl. So I encourage you to forget about the DNA and be thankful for the gift you have been given. Reply 2. I can't tell you what to do, but I can share my own story. When I was in middle school, my mother let me know that one of her childhood friends might be my real father. Immediately, I didn't care. I never connected with my father because he had the same DNA as me. It was because he would let me cry on his shirt when I was sad, but me candy and ice cream to make me happy, take naps with me because I wanted to cuddle, and so much more. Her next sentence was that he was aware of the possibility when she became pregnant, but said either way I was his baby, and he would raise me. We've never gotten a DNA test to know for sure, but I am 100% certain who my father is, because I can feel it, and he knows that I'm his daughter. How much of the relationship with your child is based on DNA, and how much is based on love? So much for the "you're just like your father's" speeches. Looks like you've been a motivational speaker for no reason. Let's keep going. Reply 3. Firstly, I would highly discourage you to have a great deal of hope that the test is wrong. Certainly there is a possibility, and I would test again to confirm, but the probability that it is wrong is minuscule and not worth pinning your hopes on. I am very familiar with this scenario as I was the child in just such a case. Allow me to implore you to do a few things. Firstly, obtain the truth, no matter what that truth is. Test again, or if you are reasonably certain already that the first test was correct, live that truth. When I say live that truth, I mean do not brush it under the carpet and hope the child will never find out. If the child is age 10 or greater, the child needs to be told, and not by her mother, by you. I hope that the sentence directly after will be, but I love you regardless of what the DNA test says, and I am always going to be your father. Take it from a child that lived through this. Paternity secrets will come to light, and when they do, all who knew and decided it was best to keep it from the child will have some serious explaining to do, and trust me when I say that no excuse you can give will ever suffice as an answer to the question of why the child was not told. A child's biological identity is theirs, and theirs alone, and not subject to manipulation or distortion by adults. The man that raised me was a good man. A great man, in fact, and though he has been dead for quite some time, and I now know my biological family, nothing in this world could replace his role in my life. It was not his fault that he married a thoroughly deceptive individual, and I do not hold anything against him. Had he known the truth and conspired to keep it from me, I think my opinion of him would be very much different. I know this is difficult, but please, be honest with all involved. Be the hero in this situation because this child will require just that to get through it. My thoughts and best wishes are with you. Reply 4. First, I can imagine how disorienting this could be for you. It would be understandable for you to question your relationship with your son's mother and, perhaps, even your son. Those are two separate, even if muddled, considerations. Sounds like you and his mother have some talking to do. Whatever happens in those conversations, I'd advise you to do two things. 1. Respect and take care of yourself, and 2. Remember how much you love your son and how much he needs you. It may be anything from easy to challenging to balance both of those. You wrote, My son, you're a dad, brother. Probably above all else, at this point. I have a feeling you've got this. Reply 5. My kids are not actually genetically related to me or my husband. Because we couldn't get pregnant on our own, we opted for using donated embryos. Their genetic parents had gotten the family they wanted out of their own fertility treatments, and rather than destroy the leftover embryos that they had in frozen storage, they gave them away so that other infertile couples could have kids, too, for which I am deeply and profoundly grateful. My kids are 4 now, and amazing little people. I think it would have been a tragedy if they had never been born. When they're old enough to understand, we'll tell them where they came from, partly because we want them to know how very much we wanted them, but mostly because they'll need an accurate medical history. Also, my husband is dying to tell them that they were cryogenically frozen time travelers who came to us from the past. Reply 6. Not entirely in line with the question, but I knew a guy who got a girl pregnant. They had already ended things when she discovered she was pregnant. They decided to get married, but the marriage wasn't working. His wife left him and started hanging out with some shady characters, and obviously she took the little girl with her. Eventually he had enough and took custody of his daughter. The mom did not care. Realizing she was a bit of a loose woman, he started wondering if the child was his. He had a good relationship with my parents at the time and voiced his concerns to my parents and contemplated doing a DNA test. My dad told him that he was everything to the little girl and that if she wasn't his, then it was not her fault. But the only thing that she does understand is that he is her dad. This girl waited at the gate every day before lunch for her dad to come home. As far as I know, he decided not to do the DNA test. Discovering that a child is not biologically yours through a DNA test can be an overwhelming and emotionally challenging experience. It's a situation that brings up many complex feelings, ranging from shock and betrayal to confusion and loss. The first thing to acknowledge is that this revelation doesn't change the emotional bond or love you may have for the child, especially if you've been involved in their life for a significant amount of time. Reply 7. If it's not your kid, it's not your responsibility. Talk to a lawyer now. You don't want to have to pay child support for someone else's kid. You'll probably have to get the birth certificate changed. You do not want your name on there. If it is, it doesn't much matter what DNA tests say. A judge will make you pay. And pay. And pay. Divorce the wife. Walk away from the entire situation. A lawyer will help with this. Don't listen to this garbage about family isn't DNA or you're the kid's dad. Those are the words of cucks and women. Women will gladly cuck a man and then expect him to be okay with it. Don't be that chump. You do what's best for you. And what's best for you is not raising some other man's kid, nor paying child support for a kid that isn't yours. Reply 8. I'd have some questions for Mama. I'd have some questions for the clinic. I'd have some questions for the lab to ideally get a genetic screening to determine, if possible, any future issues we should know about. Other than those pragmatic data points, my bit doesn't change. He's my responsibility until I get planted or he takes over. One may happen before the other or because of it. I would still feel the same about him. Whatever he was before I knew doesn't change what he is after. Only my perception does, and man oh man, has that led me astray on occasion. Better to stick to the task at hand. Same boy, same job, same love and support from us. Slightly different gene pool to be treading water in. No biggie. At least he's not related to my cousin. That guy's a dial tone. Reply 9. This happened to someone I know. He went almost 20 years believing that his kid was biologically his, then found out his wife had been having an affair for over 20 years and that his child resembled the other man's family. It didn't change anything, other than taking away some of his guilty feelings for having divorced his wife. To him, it's just as if he had adopted a baby. The child is his. Period. Love trumps biology. Reply 10. Well, you don't say how old this child is. So giving you a decent answer is impossible. If this is a newborn, you can do what is right for you. However, if this is an older child who has bonded with you and believes you to be their father, then if the test is right, tell the child in an age-appropriate way you are not their father. But tell them you are their father in every way that matters, and you love them no matter what. But the child's emotional needs first. Then make up your mind if you want to stay or leave the relationship with the child's mother. That's up to you. But again, not knowing the child's age makes this too difficult to answer. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so that you get alerts on the next question. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.